So there's another side of internationalization is, and I'm speaking from my experience with engaging the Indian Tata Motors students, I found that typically international students tend to be very strong in fundamentals, whereas I think it's a challenge with the UK students. The UK or the home students tend to be well-rounded personalities. They tend to be critical, cynical, which is good. That's how learning takes place. Whereas the international cohorts seem to be very strong in the fundamentals, but they don't tend to be critical or cynical. They just accept. They tend to make choices based on their strengths. I've done a maths degree, and this is the path I'm going to take. It would be very rare for an international student who's done a maths degree to go into, for example, psychology. Whereas it's not unheard of in the UK. You have people who've done psychology going into computer science, consultancy, business, etc. So there's pros and cons of both these things. That the plus side is that if you're really strong fundamentally, then that means that you have better chance of grasping the advanced knowledge that you get at the university. Whereas if you're not, for the home students, that might prove to be a barrier, that they're not able to grasp the true nature of the concept because they're limited in their basic understanding of the subject matter. And what then happens is the emphasis then shifts from institution onto individual. The individual has to then take on responsibility of learning the fundamental concepts that are necessary for them to pursue the degree. And it doesn't happen in all cases, because then it differs from individual to individual, and you can only provide so much support and motivation, but ultimately it goes down to the individual. And if you're talking about 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, clearly they have better priorities than trying to learn maths necessary for the degree. So they're going to do minimal possible. That's where the problem comes. And I've seen that, and it carries on. It carries on throughout the professional lives as well. I come across industry employees who are working in the area but lack the fundamental knowledge and reasoning. And when they come to the classroom, when they're explained, actually, this is the reason why you're doing it this way, that's when the bulb goes on. It's like, okay, well, I understand now. Whereas that wasn't the case with Tata Motors, the Indian students, because they knew why they were doing it. They wanted to know if there was any other way of doing it. So it was a completely different approach.